People always say hindsight is 20/20, but looking back, I think I knew. Not the full truth, not at first, but the feeling that something was wrong, that had been sitting in my gut for months. It was the little things that gave it away. The way Ryan's voice would change when he said her name. The way she started showing up at our house more often, even when I wasn't home. The way they'd exchange glances that didn't feel like friendship, not anymore. And yet, I kept telling myself I was being paranoid because that best friend was Mia. The same Mia who held my hair back in college when I drank too much, who helped me plan our wedding, who cried when I said I do. The same Mia who told me, with tears in her eyes, that she'd never let anything come between us. And Ryan? He was my husband, the man I dated for 4 years before we got married, who held my hand through my father's funeral, who once drove 8 hours through a snowstorm just to see me for one night when we were long distance. So when the uneasy feelings started creeping in, I chalked it up to stress, anxiety, insecurity, anything but what it actually was. Until the night I found proof. Ryan had been working late again, a phrase that had started feeling less like a schedule and more like an excuse. It was a Wednesday. I was already in bed, half scrolling my phone, half watching some crime doc in the background, when I got a notification on our shared iCloud account. I never checked it before. I never needed to. But something, instinct, divine intervention, I don't know, made me tap it this time. A batch of newly uploaded photos from his phone. At first, they looked harmless. A parking lot, a blurry shot of some fast food, a picture of his desk, and then one of Mia in his truck, laughing, wearing my hoodie. The next one, her hand on his thigh, his hand on hers, smiling at the camera. The final one, blurry but unmistakable, them kissing. Not a drunk kiss, not a joke, not a oops, we're too close. It was real, intentional, familiar. I sat there staring at the screen, the world going silent around me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to vomit. But mostly, I just felt this strange numbness crawl over me like a fog, like my brain couldn't process the betrayal fast enough to react. I didn't confront him right away. Instead, I forwarded the photos to my email. I stared at them for hours. I compared timestamps. I thought back to the conversations I'd had with both of them on that exact day. The lies they'd told so easily. The next morning, I packed a bag and drove to my sister's place without saying a word. Ryan didn't even notice I was gone until later that evening. I waited for the call. When it finally came, his name flashing on my screen made my hands shake. I answered with one word. Why? He paused. What are you talking about? Check your phone. Silence. 5 seconds. 10. Then a slow exhale. You went through my stuff. I almost laughed. That's your reaction. You're seriously mad at me. He didn't yell. He didn't apologize. What he said next is burned into my brain forever. I wouldn't have even looked at Mia that way if you hadn't been suffocating me for the last year. You don't let me breathe anymore. I swear to God, I thought I misheard him. You cheated on me with my best friend, and you're blaming me. I'm not saying it was right, he said. Like that made it better. I'm saying I didn't feel like your husband anymore. I felt like your prisoner. The worst part, for half a second I almost believed him. The first person who told me not to blame myself wasn't me. It was my sister. I was curled up on her couch the morning after the phone call, still in yesterday's clothes, still numb, holding her coffee like it might anchor me to the planet. She sat across from me with her hair in a messy bun and this look on her face that was equal parts protective and heartbroken. What kind of man cheats on his wife and then says you made him do it? She said, more angry than I could be. You didn't cheat. He did. End of story. But that's not how it felt. Because when you love someone that deeply and they betray you, your first instinct isn't to hate them. It's to wonder what you did wrong. Maybe I was too controlling. Maybe I was too critical. Maybe I pushed too hard, asked too much, didn't give him enough space, time, affection, freedom. Whatever word he needed to spin the story in his favor. That kind of guilt is like quicksand. The harder you fight it, the faster you sink. Ryan didn't call again for a few days, but Mia did. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. Ash, please, this isn't what you think. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It was just, things were complicated, okay? I was there for him when you weren't. I must have replayed that sentence 10 times. I was there for him when you weren't. The worst part? It wasn't just a betrayal. It was an inside job. Mia had keys to my house, knew the name of my childhood cat. She was in every group photo, every birthday, every memory that mattered. I never imagined I'd have to mentally erase someone who had literally stood beside me at my wedding. 3 days later, Ryan texted me, "We need to talk. You owe me that much." I don't know why I agreed to meet him. Maybe part of me needed to hear it from his mouth. Maybe some broken part of me still hoped he'd admit he messed up and beg to fix it. We met at a quiet cafe on the edge of town. I picked the place. Neutral ground. Too public for a scene. When I walked in, he stood up. Looked like hell. Bags under his eyes, unshaven, wearing the same hoodie I bought him for Christmas last year. And for a moment, I felt something stupid and familiar. Sympathy. "Thanks for coming," he said. I didn't answer. I just sat down and folded my arms. He sighed. "I know you're angry." "You don't know anything," I snapped. He held up his hands like he wanted peace. "I just want you to hear me out. Please." So I did. I sat there and listened to the most emotionally diluted apology I've ever heard. He didn't say, "I'm sorry." He said, "It wasn't supposed to happen." He didn't say, "I made a mistake." He said, "We both made mistakes." He didn't say, "I betrayed you." He said, "You changed, and I didn't know how to talk to you anymore." I stared at him across that table and realized something terrifying. He still believed he was the victim. When he finished, he reached for my hand. I pulled it away. "You could have talked to me," I said. "You could have fought for us. You could have asked for space, time, therapy, literally anything but her." He blinked. "You think I planned this?" "No," I said. "I think you allowed it. I think you knew exactly what would happen if you let her get close, and you didn't care. And now, instead of owning what you did, you're trying to frame it like I drove you there." He looked away. "You made me feel small all the time, like nothing I did was ever good enough." "You think I made you feel small?" I asked. "You're sitting here telling your wife that you slept with her best friend because you felt emasculated?" I stood up. My hands were shaking, but my voice wasn't. "You didn't cheat because I controlled you, Ryan. You cheated because I trusted you." He didn't follow me when I left. That night, Mia sent another message. "I just want to say I'm sorry. I know I crossed a line I can never undo, but you should know it wasn't just physical. We actually had something. It wasn't a confession. It was a claim, like she thought she could justify it by calling it love. That's when I realized they deserved each other, because only two people that selfish could lie to themselves so well. I didn't respond to Mia's message, not because I didn't have anything to say, but because nothing I said would matter to someone who'd already rewritten the story in her head. She wanted closure. She wanted to feel less guilty, and I wasn't going to give her that. Instead, I started clearing out my life, not with tears, but with trash bags. I packed Ryan's things into boxes and dropped them off at his brother's house. I deleted every photo of Mia from my phone and unfollowed her on everything. I didn't rage post. I didn't call anyone to vent. I just unplugged them from my life like broken appliances. My sister kept checking in, asking if I was okay. I wasn't, but I was calm, and that scared her more, because people expect the crying, the breakdowns, the dramatic revenge. But I was past that. I was just tired of carrying everyone's weight but my own. A few weeks later, I found out they'd moved in together, Mia and Ryan. Like the last 15 years of friendship, the marriage, the betrayal, none of it had been a mistake, just a transition. Like this was inevitable, and they'd simply arrived at the next phase of their lives. She didn't even try to hide it. Posted a photo of their new apartment, captioned, "New beginnings," comments full of people who didn't know the truth. "You two are adorable. So happy for you guys. This was meant to be." I didn't cry when I saw it. I didn't throw my phone or spiral. I just stared at the screen and felt nothing. Because you know what's worse than anger? Indifference. But it didn't last. A few days later, I was grocery shopping when I ran into Mia's mom. She hugged me like I was still her daughter's maid of honor, asked how I was doing, said she was sorry about everything. I nodded and smiled, trying to keep it short. But then she dropped this. "I just hope Mia's not rushing into something she's not ready for. She's always needed someone to rescue her." I blinked. "Excuse me?" She sighed. "I mean, Ryan? Really? I'm just not sure he's as stable as she thinks he is. You know what I mean?" I didn't answer. Because yes, I did know. Ryan had always needed to be the center of the story, the good guy, the martyr, the misunderstood husband. And Mia. She needed attention like it was oxygen. They weren't in love. They were in mutual delusion, a perfect pair of people who needed someone to blame for their own emptiness. One night, Ryan texted me. I made a mistake. I didn't answer. A few days later, another one. It's not what I thought it would be. She's not you. I stared at that message for a long time. And for the first time since everything imploded, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. This man tore apart our life, broke my trust, blew up a lifelong friendship, and now he wanted to say it wasn't worth it? I didn't respond. He made his choice. He built a new life. He can sit in it, but if I'm being honest, it still hurts. Not because I want him back. God, no. But because I gave so much of myself to two people who were never really capable of loving me the way I loved them. I defended Ryan when my friends said he was selfish. I excused Mia when she crossed boundaries too many times to count. I made room for them in every part of my life, and they both left like tenants breaking a lease. Still, something strange happened in the silence. I started sleeping better. I started journaling again, cooking for one, taking walks without checking my phone every 5 minutes. I started looking in the mirror and seeing someone who didn't need to be chosen to feel whole. And slowly, piece by piece, I began to remember who I was before all this. And I liked her. There's this quiet phase after everything falls apart. A stretch of days where no one's texting, no one's asking questions, no one's checking in every 10 minutes. And for the first time in a long time, your life is completely still. At first, it's terrifying, because when the noise dies down, you're left with just you. No distractions, no drama, no justifications, and that's where I found myself. Alone, but not lonely. Angry, but not bitter. Healing, but not healed. And for once, I didn't rush through it. I let myself sit in the discomfort. I didn't forgive Ryan. I didn't forgive Mia. But I stopped asking for answers I knew I'd never get. 3 months after everything ended, I got an email from Ryan. Not a message, not a text, an actual email, like it was a job application and he wanted a second interview. Subject, if you'll read this. I know I don't deserve your time, but I wanted to say what I couldn't say when it all fell apart. I hurt you in a way that no apology can undo, and I hate the version of myself that could do that to someone like you. I thought Mia understood me. I thought I was escaping something suffocating. But the truth is, I was running from accountability. You weren't controlling. You were present. You were committed. I just wasn't man enough to match that. I'm sorry. For everything. I read it twice, then archived it. Not because it didn't mean anything, but because it meant too much. And too late. Apologies after impact aren't healing. They're debris. As for Mia, she never reached out again. Maybe she finally realized that real friends don't ask for forgiveness when they're not willing to face what they did. Or maybe she's just rewriting the story to paint herself in better lighting. Either way, I'm not part of her narrative anymore, and I'm okay with that. One afternoon in early spring, I went back to the cafe where Ryan and I used to spend Sunday mornings. Alone. I brought a book, sat by the window. That's where I met Claire. She was the barista. Quick smile, sharp wit. She complimented my earrings and we started talking. Nothing dramatic, just easy. She gave me her number. I didn't use it right away, but I kept the napkin, not because I needed a distraction, but because I was finally ready to open a door without dragging old baggage through it. It's been a year now. I live in a smaller place, cozier, simpler. I wake up alone and it doesn't scare me. I cook dinner without anyone to impress. I take long drives with no destination. I laugh out loud at podcasts. I play the music I love too loud on Saturday mornings. I answer to no one but myself. And here's what I've learned. You can't control who betrays you. You can't rewrite what they did. But you can choose what you do next. I chose peace, and I finally found it.